It's moratorium week in Oregon's over, so I mean people can start practicing high school wise. EOU starts practice for all of their fall sports this week. I'm excited about obviously volleyball. Last year they spent, I want to say, 9 weeks as number one in the nation, which is the first time ever a CCC team's been number one in the nation. I think they finished in number 4 overall. They ended up having to play Corbin in the national tournament, which we had beat them twice during the regular season over there and over here in the CCC championship, but then we lost to them in the national tournament in the semis. So EOU volleyball is super exciting. There's a Montana State transfer that's coming in to fill the shoes of first team All-American Cambry Shields, who graduated and is done. She's quite possibly the best EOU volleyball player ever. Football wise, we got a GNAC player of the year quarterback transferred in from Central Washington. Coach Camp, I talked to him last week during the week. He hooked me up with a pair of cleats for one of the Shrine players whose cleat blew out. He's super excited about that position. We had that conversation where, they started 5 different players at quarterback last year and had 6 play quarterback in total. And Camp really felt like none of them stepped up. And so now you bring in some new blood and we'll see what happens at that position, because that position is super important.
Yeah.
Their question mark, as always, is the offensive line, though, and we'll have to see. I mean, in the spring game, it felt like the defensive line was better than the offensive line in my eyes. But that's history. I mean, that's normal. We always have a really good defensive line at EOU. A lot of defensive returners on offense. Aiden Patterson and Anthony Peterson are both back at running back, and they'll get probably 90% of the carries between the two of them. And my prediction for EOU this year, and I think this is fair, in the coaches poll, they were the coaches poll came out last week, and they were second to last, which is a fair. I mean, that's where we finished last year. I'm going to say we're going to go 500 this year, though, and I don't think that's an unachievable goal for this team. 500 would be a good year.
Yeah,
coming off of a pretty rough season last year. EOU men's and women's soccer, you got both of them made the playoffs last year, the conference tournament. I think they both just get better. The women's team has a new coach in Josh Goodman. He played at EOU. He's been an assistant coach for the last 3 years. His dad is the athletic director at the high school. And so there's, they moved here, and when Josh came to go to college, and I think he's going to do a great job replacing Plucker, who was one of the best coaches in EOU women's soccer history. This team makes the national tournament regularly, and they're always good. So he's got big shoes to fill, but I think he's going to do a great job. High school wise, I got to get out there and see him. I'm a little bit nervous about football. I'm not going to lie. New coach, Dalton Sheets takes over the reins from Rich McEnroe, and we're just going to have to see. I mean, I think there's a lot of things up in the air. I think you'll see Carter Peasley start at quarterback, which is, I mean, it's quite – I haven't got to see him play. He's hurt a lot. He was hurt a lot last year, so everything's a big question mark for high school football this year. But I think we're going to compete. I don't think we're going to have the team we had last year by any means, but we will compete.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I mean, it's the time of year where I get excited about sports. Like I posted on my Instagram yesterday, hey, can't wait for fall, with a bunch of fall sports pictures. Speaking of the Shrine game, I had Brenna Strand come out, and she's B. Rayland Photography. She took pictures for us last year, and she did it again this year because obviously we don't have anybody that can be down there taking pictures, and she did a great job. I'll share some of those with you guys. That's such a sweet picture. That's the starting quarterback for the East right there. We'll just roll through these real quick. There's Meyer Whitmore, who's the LeGrand kid who's going to be going to Central Washington University to play football. That was a sweet picture right there
Yeah.
too. She just did a phenomenal job with these. The East ended up winning 14-6. Look at that. That's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And there's some blur, but that's what makes the picture kind of cool in my eyes. That was Shaw Stork. He was probably our MVP. Both William and I decided. And then here's our two LeGrand boys, and I just ran through a little edit. And last time they get to play together. You know, these guys have played together since they were kids. It's really cool that they got to go out with a win. And yeah, Jarrett's going to play football up here at EOU Armstrong.
Yeah.
And Meyer's going to go play at Central Washington. And it's going to. They both did really well. They're linemen. So you don't. That's not the position where your name gets called a lot, right? You know, but they both played really well, and they represented LeGrand to the fullest. Yeah.
So,
great.
But question back to offensive line. Why is, like at college level, why is the offensive, or why is Eastern, why do they have troubles recruiting offensive linemen versus defensive linemen?
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. I really don't know. And I won't say like, I think the last few years we've just struggled finding, I don't really know that answer because camp is the coach is the offensive line.
Right.
And so I don't know.
Are offensive linemen in more demand?
Yeah. It's
so
hard to find.
Yeah. So if you're a big offensive lineman
and you're really good, you're going D1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Like if you're, say, offensive line is one of those positions where if you find a dude that's big and strong, you can mold him. You can't make everybody a quarterback.
Right.
But if you find somebody that hasn't played a lot of football that's like 6'5", 300 and strong, you can teach them the footwork fairly fast. You can't teach them the mind of a quarterback. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the position that's different on offensive line where you kind of need a quarterback mind is the center, because the center's in charge of the offensive line, needs to know all the play, you know, like he kind of helps out the other guys, like when they forget the play, or, you know, like the center's kind of
he's kind of the mom of the offensive line.
But the most important position in the offensive line is the left tackle.
Right.
Because that protects the quarterback.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
they're the highest paid. They're
that movie Blindside. Did a really good job of it.
He was a left tackle.
Yeah.
So they're just hard to find in offensive line. There's not a lot of glory in it either. So it's like kids when they're young, nobody says I want to be a left tackle.
No, I mean when I played football, it's like offensive line.
I want the ball. Right?
I mean the defensive line. That's where the fun was.
That's what I played.
Yeah.
I didn't even play offense.
Yeah.
I just played defense, and that's because there's no glory in but some guys can find some glory there. And in the last probably like 20 years, the offensive line in the NFL, offensive linemen have become a little more glorified. They're getting paid more. But like I said, especially at this level, there's not a lot of glory there. Yeah.
All righty. Good stuff.
I'm excited about sports, though.
Yeah.
I'm ready for fall.
I know. The other question I was going to ask. So Carter, that's Beasley, Andrew's
little brother.
And is Andrew playing again this year?
Andrew is playing again this year. Andrew will be the starting quarterback for Wyoming.
Okay.
And they come to Boise State in October, and I think I'm going to go to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think I'm going to go to that game.
In October, you should take me with you. Let's go together. Yeah.
Let's go.
Do we know anybody who can hook us up with
press tickets? Of course.